Yo ninjas, it's a fifth of 10 C++ programming challenges. Let's do this. Okay ninjas, now let's see what our program does. If you run the program and then let's paste a statement here and hit enter. Let's choose the character to be counted. For this case I'll go with E. So we find that the program counts amount of letter E in the statement or paragraph and prints its amount there. Let's run again. Let's paste the same statement, but for this case let's go with letter A, and you find there are 5 A's in the paragraph. Okay, then let's delve into the code. Yo ninja, so this is the appearance of the code, and we will be having a total of 60 steps, where each step has a mint in the program. So the first step is to declare variable and to initialize them. There are some variable I will be initializing, and the second step we will be asking the user to write or paste a paragraph, and this is where we will be counting the characters. So the step that's next is to count the number of characters. We'll be using a length function to do that. The fourth step is to ask the user to enter the character to be counted, and that character will be counted to the paragraph that we have entered above. So this is the most important part. We'll be using a for loop to count the amount of characters resemble to the user input so that it could be counted, and the final step is just to print the result on the screen. Okay, I've just created a simple print on the screen, that is character frequency counter, and I've created this escape sequence with a letter T just to create a tab. It's kind of like I've clicked a tab twice. Okay, let's start with the first step. In this step I'll declare a character. I'll call it LT. This character will just carry that character the user will be needed to input, and so counted at the paragraph. And then I'll declare a string variable. I'll call it pgraph, just like an acronym for paragraph. This is this variable to where the paragraph will be held. Now I'll declare an integer. I'll call it p and set its value to 0. And this is one of important variable because it will be used at this stage where we will be acquiring the amount of character at the asked by the user. So let me give it a comment that it will be used to count the amount of characters, or amount letter U here of, let me simply call it Charles. Okay, now let's jump to the second step. Okay, in this step we first of all have to print on the screen. So cout, let me tell the user just to write or paste. Okay, write or just paste a paragraph below. Okay, and create an end line so that the input begin at the bottom of the statement. And then instead of using cin, I'll use the getLine function, which has 2 parameters. The first one is a cin, and the last one is a variable name, which is pgraph. And I'll explain about this getLine function so that we could go on together. But for the last requirement of this step is to create a gap underneath for upcoming statement. Now let's see about this getLine function. I've created a tab here which has a simple program. This program will be using one of the two. So let me start. I've created a variable with that STMT just an acronym for statement. Let's see how about cin. We'll do different work with the get line, and you will see why I use the get line. Okay, let me try to run the program now. Okay, I'll paste this statement, and if I hit enter, you'll see only hello is returned, but the rest of statement was denied. So this cin will just return the statement until there is a space. But what if I use the getLine function? Now let me run and you can see the difference. Let me paste the statement and then hit enter. You see the whole statement is returned as the same as it was written. Now that's the reason why I take this getLine function. So after finishing this, let's jump to the third step. Okay, so let's first of all declare an integer k that will be equal to pgraph dot length. Length is a function. This function returns the amount of character available in the variable pgraph. Okay, let's now jump to the next step. First of all, we'll create a print on the screen to ask the user to enter. Okay, enter. Enter a character to be counted. And then I'll using a cin and put the variable lt there and create a gap to upcoming statements. Now let's go to the one of the most important part of the program. In this step I'll be using a for loop. So for int I, I'll use I and initialize it to 0. So start from I equals to 0 and end at the point where I is less than the total amount of characters present in the paragraph. And then during looping, I'll let I to increment. And inside this loop, I will be checking if pgraph array square bracket I, since we know okay equals to lt, then we'll be doing a certain task in here. We know that I is an index of a character present in the pgraph variable. So if that condition is true, I'll be incrementing the value of p, which we declared above here. So this p will carry the total amount of characters resembling the one that user input in this loop. Now let's print the result on the screen. So we'll be using cout, and there are, I'll be using an lt, no p is amount, so there are p amount of characters. So p chars in okay, let me use some sort of escape sequence here, and then I'll create lt to indicate that that character, then double quotes backslash another escape sequence to create single quotes around the letter, and then in a paragraph and create an end line at the end of the statement. Okay, now everything is okay. Let's run the program now. Okay, let me paste the statement I have. Okay, for the character, I'll go with A for this time, and there are 3 A's in the paragraph. Now let's run again and try for another letter. Okay, I'll paste the same statement, and then for this case I'll go with letter E. So there are 10 letter E's, and if you count 3, 4, you'll find there are exactly 10 letter E. I did this count on my own, and finally I get these 10 letters E.